There are players who come and go from a team like background extras. They barely arrive and already have their bags packed. They pass by almost invisibly, just another name on a spreadsheet. But every now and then, one of those guys shows up, someone no one expected much from, but who ends up stealing the spotlight. And when he leaves behind a void that the spreadsheet can't explain. His name? Luke Weaver. And the story the Yankees are writing right now might be about letting someone like that go. In an aggressive move, the kind made by a team trying to win now, the New York Yankees went shopping at the trade deadline and came out with three of the most coveted and controllable pitchers in MLB: David Bednar, Camilo Doval, and Jake Bird. Big names with attractive contracts, all brought in to fortify the bullpen. At first glance, it feels like a luxury reinforcement. But the question no one wanted to ask, and now can't ignore, is, what does this mean for Luke Weaver? Last season turned Weaver from a background figure into a leading role. A guy who arrived quietly without fanfare, but who ended October as one of the most trusted names on the roster. Despite still playing at a high level when Devin Williams represents a short-term, he closed out games that seemed impossible. He made 62 appearances in the regular season with a 2.89 ERA. And in the postseason, that's where he became a legend. 12 games, 8 finishes for saves, and a 1.76 ERA. The kind of performance that leaves a mark on a fan base, and one that, honestly, you don't forget easily. But 2025 brought a different script. Injuries started to interfere with his effectiveness. And with his contract nearing its end, Weaver went from silent hero to uncomfortable question mark. And with the arrival of 3 new names, the writing was on the wall. He's probably not coming back. Now, if we take a closer look, what the Yankees did wasn't exactly surprising. The front office has always taken an aggressive stance when it detects cracks in the roster. The rotation dealt with injuries. The offense was inconsistent. And the bullpen, once a strength, began showing signs of uncertainty. Devin Williams' drop in performance set off alarm bells. And even though Weaver was doing his job, with a 3.10 ERA in 31 games, there was a growing feeling that the team needed something more dominant, more stable, and, above all, more controllable. That's where David Bednar, Camilo Doval, and Jake Bird come in. 3 different styles. 3 solutions for different situations. Bednar is a classic closer. Heavy fastball, intimidating presence, solid numbers over the past few years with the Pirates. Doval brings electricity, regularly touching 101 miles per hour, a filthy slider, and that borderline arrogant confidence of someone who knows he can dominate any hitter. Jake Bird is a tactical arm, the guy who comes in during the 6th or 7th inning, in any situation, and gets it done. The 3 of them together turn the Yankees' bullpen into a real arsenal. And that's exactly why there's little room left for Weaver. But let's rewind a bit, because before becoming one of the faces of the 2024 postseason, Weaver was basically a journeyman in baseball. He bounced around from the Cardinals to the Diamondbacks, to the Reds, to the Mariners. No team seemed willing to commit to him long-term. He always carried that average pitcher label, good enough to fill out the roster. Then he got to the Bronx. And there, in the middle of chaos, under the brightest lights in baseball, Weaver found his moment. He was sharp, calm, and efficient. A real sigh of relief for fans who had lost faith in everyone else in the 9th inning. And it wasn't just on the field. Off it, Weaver was charismatic, kind, approachable, always smiling in interviews, taking pictures with fans, showing up for community events. In no time, he built a rare connection with the New York fan base, one that's not always easy to please. There was a feeling of this guy is one of us, a feeling that now is at risk of becoming just another nostalgic memory. Because like it or not, MLB is a business. And in this business, age, contract control, and growth potential matter more than loyalty or recent success. Bednar is 29. Doval, 27. Bird, 28. All under team control for longer, all with what analysts consider a higher ceiling. Weaver is 31. His contract is about to expire. And even though he's still performing, no one knows how his body will respond over the next few years, especially after recent injuries. The cold math starts to speak louder than the emotional applause of October. The comparison to other cases is inevitable. The Yankees have done this before. When they let Delin Betances walk, the atmosphere was similar. When they bet on Ottavino and let Connell go to the Dodgers, too. The bullpen has always been treated like a high turnover area. Names rise and disappear quickly. Devin Williams, brought in as a savior, has already lost ground. The same could happen to any of the current names, including Bednar or Doval, if performance dips. But even knowing all that, Weaver's exit stings more, because he was the guy who held the team together when pressure was highest. He was the one who stepped in when no one else wanted to, and he delivered. The fans won't forget that, and probably neither will the clubhouse. Adam Weinrib from Fansided recently wrote that the trade deadline sealed Luke Weaver's fate. He believes that even with good performance, the front office won't invest in extending a veteran reliever with injury concerns when they already have 3 promising new pieces. And he's not wrong. In today's market, Weaver will still draw interest. He might even get offers better than anything the Yankees would put on the table. But none of those offers will come with the same emotional weight as wearing the pinstripes. If we look toward the future, it's easy to imagine a scenario where the Yankees have one of the best bullpens in baseball in 2026. Bednar and Doval sharing closing duties, Bird doing that invisible but vital work in the middle innings, and the rest of the group rounded out with young or versatile arms. On paper, it's a formula that works, and it could work in practice too. But it's also easy to imagine an alternate scenario, one where, in Game 6 of the ALCS, the team is up by 1 run. Doval comes in and gives up a double. Bednar isn't available, and fans think if Weaver were in there, he'd close it. Because some things can't be measured by radar guns or FIP. Some things are only measured by the knot in your stomach. And in that, Luke Weaver was a specialist. Of course, there's a possibility, however slim, that Weaver accepts a discount to stay. Be a backup. Be the 4-star reliever in a 5-star bullpen. But that's unlikely. The market values this kind of October performance. There are teams with weak bullpens. There are lineups with young hitters who need endgame security. Weaver will get calls. And honestly, he deserved them. Now imagine if he signs with a rival. Can you picture Weaver closing out a game against the Yankees at Fenway Park? The Boston crowd roaring while he pounded his chest? Or worse, saving a game for the Astros at Yankee Stadium? It's the kind of nightmare fans don't even want to think about, but it's a real possibility. The Yankees made a forward-looking decision, a rational one, but they lost something in the process. They lost a symbol, a familiar face, an underdog story that inspired. And maybe they also lost a bit of the silent soul that held the team together in its darkest hours. This story isn't over yet. Weaver is still on the roster. He could still be used in the playoffs. He could even, perhaps, have one last moment of glory before he goes. And maybe, just maybe, he'll convince the front office to reconsider. But that's unlikely. The Luke Weaver era in New York seems to have an expiration date. And not because of a lack of talent, but because of too many options. A cruel irony of success. What do you think, Yankees fans? Is the team making the right call moving on? Or are they making an emotional mistake that could cost them? Drop your thoughts in the comments and share this with that friend who also got emotional watching Weaver close out that game last October. This is a kind of story that deserves to be remembered. And if you like this analysis, you know what to do. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell, because in the next videos, we'll dive deep into the impact of these trades on the lineup, off-season decisions, and most of all, what the Yankees still need to do to become true champions again. If Luke Weaver was the unlikely hero of 2024, who will be next? See you in the next chapter.